Hey, this is Erin from Surge, and this month continues to be wild. So, we're stepping back to better understand who our opponents are and how each of the camps working to advance Trump 2.0 are dangerous to both working people and deeply racist. Democracy Now! Laid this out beautifully this week, really laying out the three different factions who are driving this moment. So, the first is big money, right? This is the Wall Street, Silicon Valley overlap of big money startup culture that's really exemplified by Musk, right? They want a government that maximizes return on investment for the ultra rich and big business. And they think that government should fundamentally be run like a corporation. They want to remove federal workers or make their lives hell and peel out supposed waste and treat citizens like consumers. And we know that Musk has enormous access to Trump because of his wealth, and Trump likes people who are extremely wealthy because he understands how they can advance his self-interest, right? It's important to note that Musk grew up in South Africa under a white rule system, and he has very scary views on racial apartheid. He's also supported the far-right party in Germany with Nazi ties. These guys fundamentally, at the end of the day, want the state to run like a corporation and be subservient to a CEO or a king. Okay, the second camp are right-wing think tanks. So this is a system of well-funded think tanks and other kinds of right-wing organizations that fundamentally want a government that's unable to deliver any kind of basic services to the working class. So here, think about things like Medicaid, Social Security, things like that. This project is really deeply connected to a Christian nationalist view of deconstructing the state to smash things like environmental protections, racial equity programs, gender equality, right? They want a state that is for white Christians. They think that the government should not be used to advance progress, and they want to get rid of the civil rights and great society programs that kept some amount of quality of life in place for folks, right? This camp is represented by someone named Russell Vought. He's one of the main architects for Project 2025, and he's now running the Office of Budget and Management, which has enormous control in this moment. Vought is a Christian nationalist, and this is a belief system that, again, is deeply racist and where the Bible should rule all aspects of life, right? So you can see this playing out right now in the mass layoffs that are disproportionately hitting Black workers who make up 1 out of 5 workers in the federal government. And of course, the many real impacts that working communities and communities of color are feeling because of the cuts that have been made already, and that we know will continue to be impacted by what the GOP is planning over the coming months through the budget and many other tactics. Okay, the third camp are the right-wing tech bros. These are the online guys, and yes, they're mainly guys, and they go by lots of different labels. One of the guys to pay attention to is a guy named Curtis Yarvin. He's a really strong influence on people like the right-wing billionaire Peter Thiel and also on Musk, right? Yarvin thinks not only that Black people have lower IQs than white people, he's also defended slavery, and he thinks our democracy should be destroyed entirely and replaced with a system where the very rich literally rule like kings in something called a techno-monarchy, right? They want to completely destroy the US and turn it into a bunch of fiefdoms where people are all competing with each other. So these are the three forces with the most amount of power in this moment. And so we're sharing this because we think that the more that we know about them, the better we're able to fight back. And so it's really important to understand the differences so we can drive wedges and understand where our strategies are going to be most effective. But it's also important to see the common themes among them, right? All three of these camps are totally opposed to a vision where our government is playing a role in advancing a vision of liberation and justice, right? All three of them rely on and are informed by racism, white supremacy, and the belief that white people are superior to people of color. And all three success, importantly, rely on convincing enough white people to go along with this vision. And so that's why at Surge, we are totally committed to organizing white people away from the lies, from the white supremacy of these three camps, and instead into solidarity and into action in movements for racial, economic, and gender justice, right? We know that when we address racism in white communities, people in power lose their most powerful tool. And because, let's be clear, all three of these visions are horrific for communities of color. And those folks are on the front lines. And the future that all three of these camps lay out, whether it's running the country under a CEO, a state that's been completely gutted and able to provide a basic quality of life to anyone, or a state that doesn't exist at all and where we're living in fiefdoms fighting each other, right? None of this is good for white people either, right? So that's why it's so important for those of us who are white to actively pick a side and get to work, right? We hope that you'll join us at Surge. The next way to get involved is March 12th at 8 o'clock Eastern. We're coming together and taking action online. You can sign up by clicking through our link tree. And if you have any other questions that are weighing on your mind in this whirlwind of a time, please drop them in the chat for future episodes. Thanks, y'all.